By way of introduction, my name is Shane Booth, and I'm a 47-year-old brain injury survivor who on the 5th of August 2009 I was involved in a major life-threatening motorbike accident at a place called Baden-Baden in Germany. This accident left me fighting for my life with several broken limbs and a traumatic brain injury. Here's a picture of me in the left-hand side, fighting for my life. I started my public speaking journey because during a career that spanned some 26 years, I delivered over 1,000 presentations, all with the same thing in common: to sell something and also to earn more commission. So when my speech therapist said to me that I needed a goal, public speaking was the other choice. Since the spring of 2017, when I started speaking, I delivered 52 presentations. So this is the 53rd, each with the same thing in common: to inspire people and to motivate people to be the very best version of themselves. See the fundamental difference. Some of my former successes include: at the time of my accident, I was the sales director for a division of IBM. Prior to that, I was the sales director for a company called Telelogic. IBM acquired Telelogic, and I kept my position. At the age of 9 years old, I swam breaststroke and butterfly for Calderdale County. When I was just 15, I threw the javelin, the Olympic qualifying distance at school. I also ran the 4-minute mile. Well, I actually ran it in 4 minutes and 11 seconds, but hey, still 4 minutes. I cycled from Manchester before making the British national squad. I cycled in races such as the Tour of Ireland and the professional amateur team called the Tour of Leinz. I cycled against the likes of world hour record holder and Tour de France stage winner Chris Bowman. At the age of 25, I ran the London Marathon, recording a time of 3 hours 38 and 21 seconds, along with copious amounts of other half marathons, 10Ks and cross country. As I said, at the time of my accident, I was sales director. So a bit about my accident. During August of 2009, me and my best friend went across to Germany. On the 5th of August, we made the infinite decision to ride down to the Eifel region of Germany to ride the Nürburgring. After a pretty spectacular day of the ring, we decided to head back to where we'd been staying. We reached the B500, also known as the Romantic Road. Because the road was so good and so twisty, we decided to go back and ride the B500 again. That split-second decision turned out to be the best decision and the worst decision that I've ever made. Let me explain. It was the worst decision because it's the reason why I'm not on my motor pay and when I'm fighting for my life. It was the best decision because I'm now living in a beautiful 6-bedroom house sitting on 4 acres land. And we have a menagerie of animals. About 17 years ago, I was in a wine bar in Weybridge in Surrey when who should walk in with this guy, Ronan Keating, former Boyzone. At the time, we had a hit number one record in the charts called Life is a Roller Coaster. I don't know the words to that song, so be pleased to know that I'm not going to sing. But to do is, the very next line to that song is, you just got to write it. Something clear resonated with that song because my life of 2 accidents was very much like a roller coaster. Until the roller coaster derailed, and now I've had to remount and ride the roller coaster all over again. So a bit more about my accidents. Having survived this horrific ordeal, I was brought back to UK, back to Coventry Hospital. After a 3-month stint in December, I was discharged from Coventry Hospital and taken to Royal Leamington Spa Rehabilitation. I don't know if I can remember this in memory going back, but I always remember being wheeled in a hospital bed and the reception was full of Christmas decorations. So no idea if I was then or if I was later down the line. Here I will spend the next 3 years trying to recover. At this point, I had no idea what would be my future if I hadn't been so fit and so healthy. Here I'm pictured a skinny version of me completing the London Marathon years ago. So the first 4 months of my recovery, I was in acute care. I couldn't eat or couldn't drink for myself. I was peg fed. I couldn't speak. In fact, the only communication I could do was put on my left thumb. I was hoisted for all transfers, hoisted into bed, hoisted out of bed, hoisted into a wheelchair, hoisted off a wheelchair. I was basically bedbound. Here's a list of all my injuries. I'm not going to read them all out. I'm going to be here all day. Plus I can't pronounce half them. What I will say is, it's been reported to me that a police officer who'd attended the scene of my accident, he had said that it was the worst accident that he'd ever seen, where the victim, in this case me, has survived. So Leamington Spa Rehabilitation really started. I started to stand with the support of 2 people and a handling belt. I was mobilising everywhere in a wheelchair. After about 2 years, they began an electric wheelchair, and I hit the hotel. I used to take myself to the bathroom. On one particular day, I went to the bathroom and the door was jammed closed. So, because of an electric wheelchair, I went backwards, stuck my legs out in front of me, and barged at the door. You can imagine the shock on the young girl's face who sat there on the toilet. Needless to say, the wheelchair was taken off me, so my independence was taken. I was very dependent on others for my washing and personal care. I started eating and drinking proper food. But the problem with that was, I choked on everything. I started to speak, but not very clearly. So my communication skills, or lack of communication skills, these are incredibly poor, especially when I've been a sales director, and a very well spoken sales director. If I agreed with something, I'd nod. If I didn't agree, I'd blink profusely. I was very dependent on others for aspects of my communication. I don't know if you hear this, but this is me saying my first words. No. Rob.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'll be back. Can you turn that off and press play?
Give me a bum then. Oh, magic.
Do it again.
Oh, perfect. Big.
That's the first words I spoke. This is me recording from my voice message on my mobile. This is me before my accident.
Hi, you've reached Shane's phone. Leave a message. I'll ring you back when I can. Bye for now.
Bit of a difference. In rehab, the types of exercise they had me do were things like ooh, ee, ka, just to mix it up a bit. They get me to do it for longer. Things like ooh, ee, ka, get the idea. It felt hideous to do them. Especially having been a director. I felt things were improving because people started to have longer and more meaningful conversations. So how do you feel to have speech problems? You're very much treated differently. You're almost treated like you're an imbecile. Your confidence hits rock bottom because every time you speak, people say, hey, what? Pardon? Can you say that again? The only way I was able to keep going was I somehow believed that this couldn't hurt through me. The thing about rehab was my day-to-day communication partners were people a lot like myself in a similar position, even that or dozen nurses, so never had the opportunity. I felt very much institutionalized the whole time I was there. So discharged from rehab eventually. I was taken on a stretcher, but I was determined to work out. I was surrounded by an army of people, feeling then to the fall. I must have looked like I did in a German march, or a sketch from a Monty Python sketch, legs all over the place. But the main thing was, I was free and on my way. Here will begin the next part of my journey. So what was the next part of my journey? I started to do independent living. I moved to a self-contained apartment in Warwick with a carer. I started to build a new life and met my current wife and met her family and started to build significant relationships. I bought our first house in Kidderminster, Mill Cottage in Kidderminster. We've since moved to this nice house now, 6-bedroom house. I was having ongoing rehabilitation, but I'll come back to that. So the start of 2016, I have found I have the capacity to make decisions about my welfare, which after some research, I realized that that's also meant my care. So I decided to get rid of my care team and recruit a whole new team. This also meant I had to recruit a whole new team of therapists. I was keen in the gym, speech and physio, but I'll come back to that. I now walk independently with a stick, although when I'm absolutely shattered, which is most of the time, I do sometimes use a walking frame. I now shower myself, dress myself completely independently. I've even mastered fully dressing myself and having a wet shave too, without cutting my throat. About 4 years ago, because fatigue plays a huge part, I went to a sleep clinic in Harley Street in London, and it transpired that after a 2 nights stay, I got 3 hours sleep on the first night and 3.5 hours sleep on the second. So it's hardly surprising as it meant her life being shattered. In speech therapy, how things have changed since. We've realized that the environment that I'm speaking is important because the noisier it is, it's harder to hear me or understand me. Positioning. I used to have a habit of sticking my head right back, which you notice it pulls on your esophagus, and speech goes twice as well. Fatigue also plays a massive part because the more tired you are, the harder it is to speak. I started to understand more about communication, starting to take control of conversations. I often started conversations. All this has been a huge confidence builder. So what this meant? It meant to go to public speaking. As I say, since I started the journey in the spring of 2017, I've actually delivered 52 talks. All this has been a huge confidence builder. It's been massive for my self-esteem, and I think my speech improved. Wouldn't you agree? So my recovery has been about a holistic approach of street therapy, psychology, occupational therapy, and physiotherapy. Although, during the first lockdown, I made the decision to lay that all off and focus on me and things I want to do. Things like I returned to competitive cycling. Here I'm pictured in a superheroes team triathlon. I did the cycling part while a lady called Teresa Payne of Mitchell. She did the run and the swim. So from the 26th of June to the 9th of July, I rather stupidly agreed to cycle from John Cross to Land's End, 937 miles. The other picture here is all where we're saying and the distances between. I had hoped to somehow qualify for the 2024 Paralympic Games in Paris, but I think that I'm probably going to be too old by then, and I'll certainly still be a bit too fat. I want to continue improving my walking, continue to do public speaking, generally live life to full, most of all enjoy life. Here's some of the activities I've been doing. So bottom, top left, I did an interview with BBC West Midlands Radio. Top right, thumbs up. I did a glider experience with joking aside. It was an anniversary present from my wife. I do wonder if she was hoping that it would crash. Bottom left, that's Teresa Payne as a superhero triathlon. Then the other picture made a segue of one of my support workers' stag do. And the next picture is a very rare occurrence. Oh, very rare being almost never, but me cooking. and then they picture me in a superhero travel, do what to do best. So since starting my cycling, here's a list of all the coast to coast that are available. These are the official coast to coast, but of course, if you cross the country from west to east or east to west, north to south or south to north, it's technically the coast to coast. I've done 3 of these so far. I did Morecambe to Scarborough, the northeast one from Whitehaven to Whitley Bay Tynemouth. In fact, we finished that one on Christmas Eve, just gone. But we also cycled from Ilfracombe into Plymouth, so quite active. On the Morecambe to Scarborough one, as you'll see from the picture on the left, I took a crash and ended up being taken to hospital. I was discharged, and the very next day, despite being advised against it, because I did take a bump to my head, I went out again and cycled to Scarborough, achieving 140 miles in just 2 days. Bit dim, but hey ho. So that particular one, we started in Where the Roses, which is 174 miles. We left on the 3rd of August. Michael was hilly. We reached 8:59 when I was going down a descent and somehow rolled my trike. I think what I did was I pulled the brakes a bit hard and rolled. So it must have been something like Beverly Hills 90214. The first thing I remember was an off-duty police officer. He was driving past. He just stopped the traffic in both directions and arranged for passers-by to stop the traffic. This was followed by the paramedics, closely followed by the ambulance. Here's a picture of me being taken in the ambulance to hospital. The difference about this crash is I can actually remember it, unlike that other crash. So I'm arriving in the hospital, me being me, I was adamant to leave. So as I say, on day 1, we achieved 52.67 miles. Day 2, and down my crash, it's 66. And day 3, determined to finish what we started. I did 21 miles. So all in all, we did 140 miles, cycling all the way from Morecambe to Scarborough. But even with the crash, we done it. Our successor raised £685 for Animal Sanctuary. They were driven by my wife. So now I've returned to competitive cycling. I've started to ride for a cycling team. I've also set up a cycling group called the Cycling Misfits. I've organised and I've been running a couple of track days at Southport. On the left hand there is also what I've done. On the right you can see me cycling with my new cycling team. You see straight away, the first track day I was the only one on a recumbent bike. But hey ho, I still did it. So the most recent ride we did was earlier this year. We cycled all the way from Holyhead to Chester. I think we could have done that in one day. We left early hours of Tuesday 13th. And after a completely sleepless night, we called Seagulls. Because of the fun day, that's me pitching top right. And we cycled halfway, 46.5 miles to Colwyn Bay. On day 2, arrived in Chester, we did 50.57. The crazy thing is, I can't walk unaided, but I can ride the wheels off on track. Another cycle ride we did is me and my brother-in-law. On the 21st of September, we set off from Alchurch in the Midlands and headed down towards Aberystwyth. After 38 miles, we had a break, and then the following day, we did 55 miles, completing the challenge. 123 miles. My God, it was heavy. After just one pint, I was completely paralytic that evening. I couldn't even stand up. We had planned to do the ride in just one day. In actual fact, we had planned to ride home the next day, but we decided against it. So to goals for 2021, one of which in 2 weeks' time we're starting a juggle from Jonagross to Land's End. As I said before, it's 937 miles. Am I mad? Are we mad? Probably. But hey, what an achievement that'll be. I'm returning to competitive cycling. I'm after talking to British Cycling to see where that'll take me. When we do finally come out of lockdown, I'm looking to take the stage again. There will be other challenges throughout the year, but I think that's enough to be at home with for now. So why me, you're possibly asking yourself? What have I done? What have I got that's making me the success that I'm becoming? I think I have a huge strength of character, and I have an ordinate amount of willpower and determination. I've never been willing to accept or to give in to this terrible thing that's happened to me. I also have an amazing family and a wonderful wife. Something that my father used to drill into me from a very young age. If you're thirsty, don't succeed, then try again. That's been my mantra. Something else I want to say. There is a word can contained within the word count. That's a big statement. So from lockdown number 1 to breakdown to breakout to lockdown number 2. Lockdown number 1, I made the decision to end all therapy. I decided to do this because I started to reclaim my life. I became very independent. I was cycling loads. I basically created my new normal. I can return to work, but I can public speak and I can cycle. So then lockdown number 2 came. Watching then, I had loads more cycling. This has meant that I've been able to create my new normal. That concludes my presentation.
So yeah, fantastic story there from Shane, really inspiring, and it makes you really look at all of those times you've said that you can't do something, because Shane's shown if you've got the determination, you absolutely can do. So what I want to start with doing is just sharing the link for your fundraiser for the Joggle. Is that how we say it? Joggle?
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
Excellent. So I'm going to just copy that post in the chat, and while I'm doing that, do you want to just refresh us all on exactly what it is that any funds that are raised will go towards while I'm putting the link in the chat?
It's going to Disability Sport Worcester. Disability Sports Worcester.
Fantastic. And obviously that's something that's close to your heart, because sport has been such an outlet for you as well, and something that you've been able to really throw yourself into, which is fantastic.
Even before my accidents.
Yeah, and something that you've been able to continue to do.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You worked as a sales director before as well, so communication's always been something that's quite important and a part of who you are, isn't it?
Huge part of my life, yeah.
Mm.
I've been in sales since I'm 19 years old.
Oh.
So quite a long time.
Absolutely, exactly. So when did you first start realizing that it would be a good idea to reach out to these people and share your story? Was it just something that felt completely natural for you to do? Did somebody encourage you to do that?
My three therapists encouraged me, but it did feel natural to do it. I wanted to get something back.
Absolutely.
Given that I'll never be able to work again, I want to share my experiences.
Absolutely. And I think we've had comments from people saying that they have really found it such an inspiring thing to listen to, and it does make you look at yourself, and really the word can't doesn't really exist. If the determination's there, you can make something happen 100%. And what's next for you in terms of speaking? Where can we see you? Where do you hope to take it next?
I don't know, to be honest. I want to try and return to stage. I was doing a lot in old people's homes and lots of conferences, but because of lockdown, it's all gone very quiet. So I'm not sure where to go from here.
Yeah.
So I've been focused on cycling more.
Absolutely. It's something that we've all done as well, is we've focused on what we can do during this lockdown. Have you found you've been able to reach more people in a way during lockdown because of conferences like this where it's digital and you can potentially reach a larger audience? Or
Sometimes, yeah. I've done a few talks like this, but not as many that I have been doing. I've been trying to do about 15 talks a year, but this year it's been hardly any.
yeah,
Last year was the same.
yeah.
I'm hoping.
Is that what's really propelled you forward with the cycling? Because you can't do that love as much at the moment, so you've gone to the other one to keep yourself busy and throw yourself into something.
You're trying to strike a balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing about cycling is it's good for weight loss.
Yes.
Being fit.
Yes, exactly. And a lot of us have put on weight over the last year or so,
Yeah.
but not you.
No, I also lost 2.5 stone.
So, well, there you go. Now everyone in the audience is going to be thinking, oh dear, I definitely haven't lost 2.5 stone. But no, that's fantastic. So do you have like a blog where we can follow like your cycling adventures? Would that be on your website?
Yeah.
On your website.
Yeah.
Fantastic. That, for everybody watching, that will be linked in our show guide, so hopefully you've downloaded that. And also in the conference room, if you click on the Man That Speaks logo, that will bring up Shane's website as well. Does anybody in the chat have any questions? So in order to ask, if you just bring your mouse over the screen, click on the chat speech bubble, you'll be able to type a question in there as well. But we will have a look and see that. So yeah, let's see what other ones we've got here.
So I get off scot-free.
What was that, sorry?
How I get off scot-free?
Yes.
Questions.
Yes. So one question here, for somebody that has never cycled before, that has a disability,
yeah,
what's the very first step they can take? How can they get into that?
You can contact different companies.
Mm-hmm.
A guy called Kevin Dunsey, he runs a show called D-Tech in Little Thetford in Cambridge. He's a specialist in recumbent tracks. He was where I got my first track from.
Fantastic.
And there's another guy called Paul Halliwell. He has a shop in Warrington. He knows his stuff.
Fantastic. It's something people should definitely get into. Even if it's not cycling, every person will have something that they can be really passionate about. And Jerry's just commented, say, inspirational presentation, thank you. Yeah, I think we can all agree. Really brilliant. So fantastic to hear from you. And yeah, no problem at all. I don't think we've got any more questions at the moment, so we will pause it there. If anyone does watch this back and wants to ask Shane any questions and also find out a bit more about him, that will be on his website. And check the description of the chat here to donate to that really excellent cause and support Shane in his joggle, which is his latest cycling challenge that he set himself. And hopefully it won't be too long until we're all able to meet in person and have these conferences, and we'll be able to hear more from Shane all over the place. Thank you very much for joining us, Shane. Is there anything you wanted to add before we finish?
No, not really.
Okay, fantastic. Excellent. Thank you again, Shane.
Thank you.
Thank you.